Welcome to the Joe Monroe Show. Now, here's your host, Joe Monroe.
Hello, pro wrestling family, friends, and fans. Welcome to a brand new episode of the History of Pro Wrestling with your host, Joe Monroe. Today, we are in a different setting than what we usually are. We're going to try to record from here, from the studio, and go from here. And if you like the setup from here rather than where we were, let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you all so much for YouTube here on this channel. We are up 130 subscribers, so I would have never figured in a million years that we would have that many subscribers. So thank you all. Thank you all for that. So you all 100% deserve those applause. So with everything going on, let's go ahead and get into the episode. But first, let's shout out some sponsors real quick. First and foremost, we want to thank our longtime sponsors, Phenomenal Funds ATL. If you're looking for anything retro, whether it be professional wrestling or for anything, 90s or 2000s, or, pretty much anything, check out phenomenalfundsatl.com, as well as our partners and sponsors, Triple Crown Wrestling and Ultimate Championship Wrestling, as they are bringing back the sport of professional wrestling as it should be back to the great state of Kentucky. And our partners and sponsors, Mayhem Media. Not only do they handle professional wrestling, but they also handle all kinds of media, from baseball to TV shows to films. That's all about Mayhem Media. Now, we also want to give a big shout out to Charms Photos. Crystal, who's the lovely lady that takes the promo pics that have recently just came out. She's the one that runs Charms Photos, so go check her out. As well as our sponsor, Les Murphy Painting. If you're having any trouble with any painting needs, contact Les Murphy at 734-334-3702. And since you guys are already on our YouTube channel, go check out the No Sell Roundtable. It is a live that we do with myself and other podcasters where we sit and talk about professional wrestling and good news. The next episode, we're going to be talking about the New World Order, the good, the bad, and, well, just all around New World Order. But let's go ahead and let's get right into it. Today's topic for the history of professional wrestling, Jerry the King Lawler. Now, Jerry Lawler, a lot of people, especially, younger generations, may recognize Jerry Lawler as just a commentator on Monday Night Raw. Well, that was always not the case. Jerry the King Lawler has been wrestling since the early 1970s and made a big name for himself in Memphis wrestling, as far as with CWA. And as you can see, here's a young Jerry the King Lawler. Most notably, he had feuds with Terry Funk, who we're going to talk about here pretty soon on the history of pro wrestling. Terry Funk, and someone that a lot of people are very familiar with, especially with the film Man on the Moon. You all know who I'm already talking about. I'm talking about the feud he had with Andy Kaufman. Now, this right here skyrocketed both Jerry Lawler, Andy Kaufman, and wrestling in general, because you got to think this was a time before social media. This all came out in the newspapers. Television was just coming out. Cable was fairly new at this time, and a lot of people were just amazed that this actor was crazy enough to challenge a wrestler like Jerry the King Lawler. Well, as you can see in this next picture, the antics of Andy Kaufman. This is honestly my favorite photo from the match, where he's taunting him and saying he's a big gorilla. But at the end of the night, Jerry the King Lawler ended up giving him not one but two pile drivers to get disqualified, because then the pile driver move was illegal. But and that right there, I think, helped, as I stated earlier, it elevated not only these two men, but professional wrestling in general, especially Memphis. But Jerry the King Lawler will go on to win the AWA World Heavyweight title during that partnership, and would move on to the WWF, now known as the WWE now, and would eventually become a color commentator and a Hall of Famer. So this man is literally a first ballot Hall of Famer in my book. I mean, come on, let's talk about excuse me. Let's talk about his debut. He debuted in 1970 and won his first championship match in September 1971 by winning a battle royal, which a lot of people probably don't look at battle royals the same as they did back then, but back then they were a pretty big deal. He soon won the NWA Southern Tag Team Championships under the managerial services of Sam Bass with his partner Jim White. And in 1974, this is one of his major feuds that came up was with Jackie Fargo, uh, a legendary wrestler that I will cover really, really soon. I promise, especially you all from Kentucky, we will cover Jackie Fargo really, really soon. And who was actually, believe it or not, the trainer and mentor for Jerry the King Lawler. Um, and this led to a match for the NWA Southern Heavyweight Championship. And on July 24th, 1974, Lawler won the belt and the title of King of Wrestling. Henceforth, since 1974 onward, he was known as Jerry the King Lawler. Now, he had notable feuds in CWA, which was the Continental Wrestling Alliance. We did talk about Andy Kaufman, and now in AWA, he started there in 1982 through 1985. Then back, took a year, then went back in 1987 until 1988, where he did win the AWA Southern Heavyweight Championship. Was actually the title right here, the black and gold version. A lot of people, there's two versions of that belt. There is the red and black, and there is the black and gold. Me personally, I love the black and gold. This is a title that me and my grandfather both loved. This is our favorite title design, and that's why I have a replica of it. This is, a lot of people ask if I want this. Heck no, shoot no, I wish. But this right here, this is just a replica belt. It is the difference between that. Let me go a little history on the belts here. As you can see, this belt has two side plates. Well, in the original belt, it had a third side plate right here, but the belt maker that my friend got this off of only did two. That's about the only thing I'm going to be like, it's not really accurate, but it's still the Southern Heavyweight title to me. Then he went on to become the NWA Mid-America Champion in April 12th of 1984. Then he would become the AWA International Champion later on in the year. And later won the AWA title from Kurt Hennig on May 9th of 1988. So that is when he won the AWA title, which during the reign, Lawler feud with Kerry and Eric, which led to Super Clash 3. And that led to the unified of the two titles and became the history of the first original undisputed title that a lot of people would recognize. And Lawler would end up winning that. Now, during the close in 1992 is when he debuted in the WWF, and he started feuding with, notably the Bret Hart, calling Bret and especially his mom names, all the classic lines. Shoo, you gotta love old Jerry the King Lawler. That man. I love him as a wrestler, but I loved him even more as a commentator because he always had those zinging one-liners. And he would go on to actually have a little bit of a feud with Roddy Piper during that time. And he would later have go on to Smoky Mountain Wrestling in 1994, where he had, let's see, he was actually, I didn't know this till now, reading here. He was the last Smoky Mountain Wrestling Heavyweight Championship, defeating Brad Armstrong in 1995. I did not know that. Wow. Is that confirmed? It is. Wow. Good job, Dave. Then that's when he started up shortly after that USWA. He started wrestling for them again. And that's when, the whole feud with ECW started happening and it crossed over. There was, believe it or not, a lot of people want to talk about the Forbidden Door. The Forbidden Door was opened back in mid to late 90s because ECW invaded Raw. And Lawler had this feud with Paulie Dangerously, known as Paul Heyman now. I think it's way overlooked and way underappreciated. So if you want to go check out that feud, I'm sure there's YouTube videos of said feud. go check it out because it's definitely, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's definitely something noteworthy. And that happened in 1997 is when that happened. From then on, in 2001, he left the WWF for a short while because of some disagreements. We will not go into that, but he stayed on the independent circuit for a while, then came back to the WWF, WWE in 2001, and stayed as a commentator and part-time wrestler from 2001 until 2012. Which to me, that's an impressive run. A lot of people will probably remember him for getting in the Royal Rumbles and Battle Royals during that time. And it was always a joy to see it because it was, especially if he was a heel, which, majority of the time he was a heel commentator. He would, be, oh, well, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to beat the heck out of him. And it probably won't be like 2 or 3 minutes later. Did you see that? He cheated. I got eliminated. That's not fair. You got to love Jerry the King Lawler, man. But yeah, here recently, he just recently just departed from the WWE and is doing his own thing. And believe it or not, he actually has his own restaurant in Memphis and is a very well-known artist. As a matter of fact, that's one thing that I will want to get for the collection for the studio here. So maybe one day we'll get some Jerry the King Lawler art here. That's going to be pretty cool. But Jerry Lawler, most notably, hands down, one of the best professional wrestlers there is. Now, a lot of people will agree to disagree on that, but he 100% is. I don't care what anybody says. But there's a little brief history of Jerry the King Lawler. If you want to hear more about Jerry the King Lawler, we'll probably do a longer episode to go a little more in depth of Jerry Lawler's career. But until next time, folks, I want to say thank you so much for getting us to 130 subscribers on YouTube. Be honest with you, I wouldn't even think I'd have 50 subscribers, but thanks to you all. This is now exclusively on YouTube. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We will be back next Friday. We're going to be talking about, what are we going to be talking about here? Oh yeah, that's right. I made note of a murder, and I believe we had. Did we not have a little spoiler here? Where'd he go here, Davey? Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. We're going to talk about this man right here. We're going to talk about the legendary Terry Funk. And to be honest with you, folks, I know I try to keep these episodes anywhere from 11 to 15 minutes, but that's probably going to be a long one. Until next time, folks, I want to say thank you. Have a great day. I know it's Friday. Everybody's ready to get the work day over with and have a great weekend. And if you can, go support your local independent wrestling promotions. And as always, 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 always support the crazy sport of professional wrestling. Dave, go ahead and take us out, buddy.
You've been listening to The Joe Monroe Show with Joe Monroe. Don't forget to like and subscribe.